I'm Vinnie Politan. This is Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us tonight. And we've got a big one brewing down in Tallahassee, Florida. It has taken a long, long time for this moment to happen. And today was day one of the trial against a man named Charlie Adelson. Rich dentist, comes from a rich family down in South Florida. He has a sister named Wendy. Wendy was in a bitter custody battle with her ex-husband, FSU law professor Dan Markel. Dan Markel was shot and killed in his driveway. It was murder for hire. And now prosecutors say the mastermind dentist behind the murder of this FSU law professor and loving father of two is Charlie Adelson, Wendy's brother. Julie Janae, Court TV legal correspondent, will be covering this for us. She has the story tonight.
To this day, do you think he's guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that he should be prosecuted for his involvement in the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
That's Catherine McBanawa talking about her ex-boyfriend, Charles Adelson, during her murder trial for the death of Florida State law professor Dan Markel.
Do you think he should come forward and let the jury know that you had nothing to do with this?
Yes, ma'am.
It was McBanawa's second trial for Markel's death after a jury deadlocked in her first trial in 2019. The second time around, a jury rejected her claims of innocence.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Now, Florida prosecutors are setting their sights on Charlie Adelson, Markel's former brother-in-law.
What enemy or enemies had Mr. Markel made that set into motion such a brutal act? The answer, his own family.
It would take 8 years for prosecutors to bring a case against Adelson to a grand jury, despite early suspicions of his possible involvement. Markel was involved in a bitter child custody dispute with Adelson's sister, Wendy, when he was gunned down in his driveway in 2014. Wendy Adelson testified that there was ill will between her ex-husband and her brother.
He had bought me a TV when I got divorced and said it was a present and made a very bad joke and bad taste that it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
But prosecutors say Adelson did hire hitmen with McBanawa's help. Sigfredo Garcia, the father of McBanawa's children, and Luis Rivera, a gang member and friend of Garcia's. Rivera pleaded guilty in exchange for testimony implicating Garcia as the gunman and McBanawa as the link to the Adelson family.
I gave him the truth, bro. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, man. I gave him the truth. Like, it was Katie and Garcia. It was all three of us involved.
Investigators used a sprawling web of surveillance video, wiretaps, and cell tower data to connect a vehicle that was leaving the crime scene to Garcia and Rivera. Connecting McBanawa to the plot would prove more difficult because she wasn't involved, according to McBanawa's lawyers.
It wasn't through Catherine McBanawa. This wasn't something that was negotiated through Catherine McBanawa. It was about her. The communications that we have between Sigfredo Garcia and Charles Adelson in the weeks before the murder, in the days before the murder, are consistent with the fact that there was a deal between the two of them, and part of that deal was Charles Adelson breaking up with Catherine so that Sigfredo could get back the woman that he loved so much.
What's different now? Leon County prosecutors say they have a new version of secretly recorded video showing McBanawa and Adelson in a restaurant in 2016 with enhanced audio.
If a badge comes up to you, you tell them have a nice day, officer. Listen, if they want to charge you with something, charge me. If not, I don't talk to cops.
Prosecutors showed the video to the jury in McBanawa's retrial and to the grand jury that indicted Charles Adelson.
The piece of evidence was something that I did think was important, and I've always felt like if we could just get that clarified, that would make a big difference potentially in the case, so I was really happy to have that piece of evidence to present to the grand jury.
Charles Adelson now faces the same charges that McBanawa was convicted of: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation to commit murder. Adelson has pleaded not guilty and maintains his innocence.
So jury selection began today. Will take several days to get a jury in this case. Other big news is that two Adelsons were taken off of the witness list. Donna and Harvey Wendy and Charlie's parents, who still aren't in the clear. Apparently, there's still an ability to investigate them for their role in all of this, or potential or alleged role in all of this. But they were on the witness list. Now off of that list. Now down in Florida, if you're on the witness list, you can be deposed prior to trial. They apparently were going to take the 5th. And now there's an agreement between the prosecution and defense just to eliminate them as potential witnesses in this case. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also joining us in Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, riding that winning streak. And in Columbia, South Carolina, criminal defense attorney and lawyer Lori, or is it lawyer Lori?
Lawyer Lori.
Lawyer Lori, right? Because lawyer is too easy to say. On TikTok, Lori Murray is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. All right, Al, let's start here with the parents, Donna and Harvey. All along I've been saying, how much does Donna love Charlie? How much does Donna love Charlie? Will she fall on the sword for him at his trial and say, I did it, I did it? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So does Charlie, as part of his defense, point the finger at any other member of his family? Do they raise the possibility that somebody else did it, but not Charlie?
Yeah, that's the old plan B. You got to go with the plan B. I mean, in that type of a situation, especially with the fact that you've got 3 people already convicted of this heinous crime, and you've got a lot of fingers you can point. You got a lot of people you can point at, and you got a lot of people you can accuse.
Well, do you agree with me, Al? I believe that there's no way the jury doesn't believe that this hit was ordered by someone connected to the Adelson family, right? I can't imagine a scenario. There's no reason for Catherine McBanowa to take out Professor Dan Markel. I mean, there's no connection there, right? Unless what?
I mean, you know, unless she was trying to,
She's a
unless she was
shot
trying
girl
to
from
impress the
South
family.
Florida.
Well, but Vinny, she's looking at, you know, maybe getting involved with the family and getting a large inheritance or something along those lines. If she ends up marrying the dentist, or well, I mean, like, there's so many weird things.
Wait, she marries Charlie, who's already got money. So you're saying it's like a dowry? Her dowry to be a part of the Adelson family was to whack the brother-in-law?
There has been weirder circumstances on this show than that. Okay, weirder than that. And there's no reason why she can't, you know, why they can't throw that out there. I mean, she obviously has no credibility. So why not? Say, listen, this is what she was trying to do. She would have done anything for me to get me to fall in love with her or stay in love with her, marry her, whatever this is, take her away from all of this.
So to make Charlie, the Ferrari-driving dentist, to fall in love with the shot girl from the club, Catherine McBanowa, there they are together, the couple, she's gonna make sure that the father of her children, along with his Latin King gang member friend, drive up to Tallahassee to take out her potential sister-in-law's ex-husband. Darnell, do you like that argument?
Someday, my prince will come.
Go ahead, Darnell.
I'm just afraid of what date night looks like at Al's house, if that's what he's thinking is going to happen. So, no, I do not like that theory at all. And I agree with you 100%. The Adelsons are behind it. It's always...
Okay, let me stop you there, Darnell. Okay, so you, like I, believe that, and I believe the jury's going to think that, based upon the evidence, that nobody else in the world would have has a beef with Professor Dan Markel, especially someone in South Florida, to send down these South Florida residents 400 miles north. So how can Charlie's attorneys somehow, how do they make this argument? What do they do to try to make the jury think that, well, maybe it's Wendy, maybe it's Donna, maybe it's Harvey, but it's not Charlie?
Well, the first one. So typically, you do the follow the money thing, right? But this is a custody battle. So
the money goes to Catherine McBanoa. Donna is writing some of those checks.
Yeah, I would agree. So typically, you kind of follow that, but in this particular case, the motive has to be the way you present the motive, if I was a prosecutor, is we know that there's a custody battle between these two people, and the link here is the brother, the dentist, and we leave it up to you guys to figure out which one of them is involved. But they don't have to carry the burden of pointing them out. You just put it out there that this could not have happened but for the motivation behind this family and this custody battle, and you make the link between her and the rest of them. I don't think you have to pinpoint.
Okay, Lori, do you think there's any way that this jury, looking at this family, will say, we don't know which one of the Adelsons or which combination of Adelsons necessarily planned this hit, so we're going to find reasonable doubt? Or do you think they sweep them all up in the same sort of place? Because to me, it's very complicated because it's family, right? It's tough for me to think that Charlie would point the finger at his mother or his sister, but I don't know. What do you think happens here, Lori?
Well, I think it depends on how good the defense is, and I think it's funny that you find it hard to think that he would point the finger at the family members, but he would commit murder of
for his family.
brother-in-law.
See, the motive is that he loves his sister so much, and loves the kids so much that he'll do anything to make his sister happy and his mother happy to have the kids down in South Florida, because Wendy Adelson was losing in court. In court. Those kids were not going to be separated from their loving father, Dan.
I agree with you. And I think this is exactly why we have, the ability to separate trials. This is why they're not all being tried at one time, because
the other Adelsons aren't even charged, so nothing's happened with them.
Exactly. But they have the ability to investigate them, and they were going to plead the fifth for a reason. So they definitely have something that is out there, in my opinion. So you have the ability to separate the trials, to sever them, and to point the finger at the rest of the family. I don't think they'd have hard feelings because they can all do that. It's the same thing with the Y&W Melly case. Those two defendants are both, right in the crime scene. Like, I know that there's a lot more evidence on Charles here, but you can point the finger at the rest of the family, then the rest of the family can come back and point the finger at you, and then nobody knows who did it. Everybody's confused. But the problem here is that he has the woman who has the connection. He has the shot girl, and she's the one
he's sleeping with her.
Connection to the killer.
He's sleeping with her.
Yeah.
Her pictures are together. Al, do you think he testifies?
I've got to wait. That's a last-minute decision. I got to see how the case is going in for the prosecution.
Any chance that if he testifies, he says, my mom did it. My mother and my sister, they did it, then they told me about it, and I didn't know what to do, and that's why I'm making all these crazy statements on these recordings. Do you think he does that?
No, I don't think he would do that. I don't think he would do that at all. I mean, it just doesn't really make sense that the mother would be behind something like this, and I don't think you blame your mother for that kind of a thing, and I don't think if you did,
Donna hated the professor. She was gonna, yes, she picked him out on J-Date initially, but she wanted those grandchildren down in South Florida, and Dan was a professor in Tallahassee. He wasn't leaving, he was winning. Things were getting nasty with this family. She was even, this is how far she was gonna take it, because Dan Markel is Jewish. The Adelsons, they're Jewish as well. The children were being raised Jewish. And she was gonna threaten to tell Dan that they were sending the kids to a Christian school. Like, this is how crazy and bitter and petty this battle and what Don is alleged to have done in this family law case. So I don't think it's out of the world to think that someone could point the finger at her.
Well, it's a far stretch from Christian school to murder. I mean, come on, let's be realistic here. So I'm gonna
Well,
send the kids
somebody
to
ordered
Don
the
Bosco,
hit.
and I'm gonna kill them.
Somebody ordered the hit.
Right, and as I said before, someday my prince will come.
Okay.
And that's what the shot girl thought. She was going to be able to get into the family and move it on up.
All right.
Funny thing there, my mom's senior quote in high school was, "Someday my prince will come, wish he'd hurry up, the bum." And I think that might be true in this case. He might be the bum.